Hi again, I'm Bob Labbitt with Emerson Climate Technologies, and welcome to this edition of Taking It to the Street. Today we're going to join Don Sullivan with Browning, the Senior Product Manager. Welcome, Don.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for joining us today. You know, when we talk about belts and we're talking with our wholesalers, a lot of things we hear is a belt is a belt is a belt. So they're all the same, and a lot of people were saying, hey, I'm just looking at what the price of a belt is. But you know, getting down to it, and some of the things I've seen with Browning, you guys have a belt here that can save the end user a lot of money on energy.
Absolutely.
So why don't you share with us how a contractor can communicate to his customer the efficiency of Browning belts?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we have out, Bob, is our energy efficiency calculator. And this calculator is available for the iPad, the iTouch, the iPhone. We also have an online version that's available on the wholesaler portal that you can view and use online if you don't have access to one of these handheld tools. If you're viewing the ones from the Apple Store and want to download that app, you simply go to the Apple Store and put in Browning V-Belt, and it's a free download. With a few simple inputs, such as the horsepower, the number of units a contractor or a facility may have, the usage with hours per day, days per week, you can quickly project your annual energy savings, and you can ultimately get to payback.
Man,
if you put in the actual cost of your belts.
That's pretty slick. Now I've seen the video, and the energy calculator is pretty easy to use. So really, the bottom line is this belt saves the customer 3% on energy cost, right?
Yes, what we're talking about is the wrap belt versus the notch belt. Here you have a B38 and a BX38, and the difference is really the construction type. This is a single fabric design, probably the most common belt that you see out there. Been used for years. This is a raw edge belt, where this one is fabric all over. You can notice when the belts are cut, this still retains its shape. A little less flexible than what you have with these reliefs cut. And what the Department of Energy has proven and published is that if you use a notched style belt, some people call them cogged, that bending resistance being less as the belt goes through the sheave, that bending resistance is less. Okay. And that's where you actually pick up your energy gains, and the calculators simply help you calculate with a few simple inputs how you can go from a wrap to a notch, and with some projection what you can save.
Man, that's fantastic. So really, I mean, we have a story here. We have something that the wholesalers can use to sell this product at the branch, and
we absolutely do. Now there's some features in our belts that are different than our competitors too. One of the features that we have, as you'll notice here's a Browning notched belt. This is a 5VX belt and some competitor 5VX belts. You'll notice a radical design difference in these. Mm-hmm. Notice that wider notch spacing?
Yep.
We also have ground form sidewalls to make that extremely smooth. Fabric on the top, fabric on the bottom. All of these features are designed to allow a customer to transmit maximum horsepower, reduce vibration in the entire unit, and increase your drive life as well as your bearing life.
So what you're telling me is a belt is not a belt is not a belt, right?
A belt is not a belt. Absolutely. There are other things, including length variation, that are a major concern to customers. Have you heard the term matched belts before with customers?
I have.
Okay. With a matched belt, what a customer is concerned with are transmitting equal power within a multiple groove sheave. If you have a multiple groove sheave, let's say we're transmitting 20 horsepower and we have two belts. Ideally, we want each of those belts to transfer roughly 10 horsepower. If one of those belts is shorter than the other, what ends up happening is the shortest belt carries the brunt of the load. The other belt goes along for the ride.
And then one will wear faster than the other, right?
One will wear faster than the other, lead to premature failure in your entire drive. And it's actually pretty significant. On a B38 belt, this is a BX, and a B38 belt, we're talking about this much length. The Rubber Manufacturers Association gives tolerances to belt manufacturers. So you can make within a bandwidth, still call this a BX38 belt. That tolerance for a standard belt is this much, 45/64 of an inch.
Whoa.
So it can, you know, some manufacturers may be at this end, somewhere in the middle, but they're allowed that much difference in length and still call it a BX38.
That's a lot.
On a match belt,
Man.
that's the tolerance.
Okay.
You go from this to this. All Browning belts off the shelf meet or exceed the Rubber Manufacturers Association's tolerances for matched belts. And on every Browning belt, you'll see a Code 1 designation. And Bob, that Code 1 designation is a customer's assurance that each and every time they purchase a Browning belt that they're going to get that match tolerance right off the shelf that meets or exceeds the Rubber Manufacturers Association's tolerance width. That's what they're getting.
Wow. I'll tell you what, Don, that's some great information I've learned about match belts and cog belts, but more importantly, I think that I've learned that there is a great story here about the quality and the what we have to offer for our contractor customers. So,
Absolutely.
hey, we appreciate your time, and we appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Taking It to the Streets.